5 ways to boost your confidence. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt like you didn't belong? Maybe everyone else seemed smarter than you, more attractive than you, more successful than you, more confident than you. Your heart started racing. Your palms became sweaty. Suddenly, you began overthinking every word you wanted to say. Instead of speaking with confidence, you stayed quiet. Instead of taking the opportunity, you watched someone else take it. And afterward, you replayed the moment over and over in your mind, wondering why confidence seems to come so naturally to other people. Here's the surprising truth. Confidence is not something you're born with. It isn't hidden in your DNA. It isn't a gift that only a lucky few receive. It isn't reserved for the rich, the famous, the outgoing, or the exceptionally talented. Confidence is built. It grows one decision at a time. And the best part is this. You don't have to completely change your life before you start feeling more confident. Sometimes, just 10 intentional minutes can completely change the direction of your day. Those 10 minutes won't make you perfect. They won't remove every fear. But they can help you think differently, stand differently, speak differently, and most importantly, believe differently. Imagine waking up every morning believing that you are capable. Imagine walking into job interviews without feeling intimidated. Imagine speaking in meetings without second-guessing yourself. Imagine introducing yourself to new people without worrying about whether they'll like you. Imagine chasing opportunities instead of watching them pass you by. That version of you isn't as far away as you think. The biggest obstacle standing between you and confidence isn't your appearance. It isn't your education. It isn't your age. It isn't your background. More often than not, it's the story you've been telling yourself. Many people spend years waiting for confidence to magically appear. They tell themselves, when I lose weight, then I'll be confident. When I get promoted, then I'll be confident. When I have more money, then I'll be confident. When people finally recognize my abilities, then I'll be confident. But confidence doesn't work that way. If you wait until everything in your life is perfect before believing in yourself, you'll spend your entire life waiting. Confidence comes first. Success often follows. Think about a child learning to walk. That child doesn't wait until they're certain they won't fall. They stand. They stumble. They fall. They cry. Then they get back up again. Eventually, they walk. Not because they never failed, but because they refused to stop trying. Somewhere along the way, many of us forgot that lesson. We started believing that making mistakes meant we weren't good enough. We became afraid of looking foolish, afraid of rejection, afraid of criticism, afraid of failure. And little by little, fear began making our decisions for us. We stopped raising our hands. We stopped sharing our ideas. We stopped applying for opportunities. We stopped introducing ourselves to new people. We stopped dreaming as boldly as we once did. The sad part is that most people don't even realize it's happening. They simply call it being realistic. But there's a difference between being realistic and allowing fear to shrink your life. Every single day, thousands of talented people stay invisible because they don't believe in themselves. Meanwhile, people with less talent, but more confidence, step forward, take action, and create opportunities. Talent is valuable. Education is important. Experience matters. But confidence often determines whether you'll actually use those gifts. Here's another truth that might surprise you. The people you admire most probably don't feel confident all the time. Actors still get nervous before stepping on stage. Athletes still feel pressure before big competitions. Business owners still doubt themselves before making major decisions. Even the world's greatest speakers sometimes feel butterflies before addressing an audience. The difference isn't that they never experience fear. The difference is that they've learned not to let fear make their decisions. That's what confidence really is. Confidence isn't saying, "I'll never fail." Confidence is saying, "Even if I fail, I'll learn, grow, and try again." That single shift in mindset changes everything. Throughout this video, I'm going to share 5 practical ways you can start building confidence almost immediately. These aren't complicated psychological tricks. They don't require expensive courses. You don't need special equipment. You don't need permission from anyone else. All you need is a willingness to practice. As you listen, don't just hear the words. Apply them. When I ask you to sit up straighter, do it. When I ask you to challenge a negative thought, do it. When I encourage you to take one small action, promise yourself you'll actually do it today. Because information changes nothing. Application changes everything. By the end of this video, I hope you won't simply understand confidence better. I hope you'll begin living with more of it. So, take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Lift your head. And let's begin with the first habit that confident people practice every single day. Point 1. Change your posture. Your body shapes your mind. Let's begin with something so simple that most people overlook it. Your posture. At first, this might sound too easy. You may be thinking, can the way I stand or sit really affect my confidence? The answer is yes. Think about the last time you felt embarrassed. Without even realizing it, you probably looked down. Your shoulders rolled forward. Your breathing became shallow. You tried to make yourself look smaller. It wasn't something you planned. Your body simply reacted to what your mind was feeling. Now think about someone who walks into a room with confidence. They don't rush. They don't constantly look at the floor. Their shoulders are relaxed. Their head is up. Their movements are calm and intentional. They aren't trying to prove they're important. They simply look comfortable in their own skin. Here's what's fascinating. The connection works both ways. Your mind influences your body, but your body also influences your mind. When you spend the day slouching, avoiding eye contact, and making yourself appear smaller, your brain receives a message that says, something must be wrong. I must have a reason to be afraid. But when you stand tall, breathe deeply, and keep your head up, your brain receives a different message. It begins to think, maybe I'm safe. Maybe I can handle this. That's why confident people don't just think differently. They carry themselves differently. Now, I want you to do something with me. If you're sitting down, sit up straight. If you're standing, plant both feet firmly on the ground. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your chin just a little. Now take a slow, deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and slowly breathe out. Let's do it one more time. Take another deep breath, hold it, and slowly let it go. How do you feel? Maybe nothing dramatic happened. That's okay. Confidence is rarely built through one giant moment. It's built through hundreds of small moments like this. Imagine 2 people walking into the exact same job interview. The first person walks in with slumped shoulders, avoids eye contact, and speaks so softly that the interviewer struggles to hear them. The second person smiles naturally, stands tall, shakes hands confidently, and speaks clearly. Who makes the stronger first impression? Most people would choose the second person. Not because they're necessarily smarter. Not because they have more experience. but because confidence is communicated before a single sentence is spoken. People notice your energy long before they remember your words. That doesn't mean you should pretend to be someone you're not. It means you should stop allowing fear to speak through your body. Here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, every time you catch yourself slouching, correct your posture. Every time you walk through a doorway, remind yourself to stand tall. Every time you meet someone, make gentle eye contact and smile. These are tiny habits. But tiny habits repeated consistently create lasting change. Now let's talk about eye contact. Many people avoid eye contact because they're afraid of being judged. Ironically, avoiding eye contact often makes them appear even more uncertain. You don't need to stare at people. That would feel uncomfortable. Instead, simply look at the person while they're speaking. Look at them while you're speaking. If you need to glance away naturally, that's perfectly fine. Eye contact sends a quiet message. It says, I'm present. I'm listening. I'm not hiding. Another habit that boosts confidence is slowing down. Have you noticed that nervous people often rush? They rush their words. They rush their movements. They even rush their breathing. Confident people understand something different. They don't feel the need to hurry. They pause. They breathe. They think before they speak. Silence doesn't make them uncomfortable. The next time you're in a conversation, don't be afraid of a brief pause. A calm pause often communicates more confidence than speaking as fast as possible. Remember this. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be the most confident. Some of the most confident people speak quietly. They don't demand attention. Their calmness earns attention. And that's a powerful difference. As you go through today, pay attention to how you're carrying yourself. Your posture, your breathing, your eye contact, your pace. These may seem like small details. But confidence is often hidden inside small details that we repeat every single day. Master your body, and you'll begin to master your mind. Now that we've talked about how your body influences confidence, let's move to something even more powerful. The voice that speaks inside your head every single day. Because if your body is the foundation of confidence, your thoughts are the building that stands on it. Point 2. Master your inner voice, because you believe what you repeatedly tell yourself. Let me ask you a question. If someone followed you around all day and spoke to you the same way you speak to yourself, would you want that person as your friend? Think about it. For many people, the harshest critic in their life isn't a teacher. It isn't a parent. It isn't a boss. It isn't even a stranger on the internet. It's the voice inside their own mind. It's the voice that whispers, "You're not smart enough. You're going to embarrass yourself. Everyone is better than you. You'll probably fail, so why even try? You've missed your chance. You'll never be good enough." Here's the problem. Your brain doesn't just hear those words. Over time, it begins to accept them as truth. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. If you water that seed every single day, it eventually grows into a tree. Your thoughts work the same way. Every thought you repeat is like watering a seed. If you constantly water fear, fear grows. If you constantly water doubt, doubt grows. But if you consistently water courage, hope, and belief, those qualities begin to grow as well. Now, this doesn't mean you should ignore reality or pretend life is perfect. Real confidence isn't built on pretending. It's built on telling yourself the truth. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never be successful," try saying, "I'm still learning and every day I'm getting better." Instead of, "I'm terrible at speaking," try saying, "I'm improving every time I practice." Instead of, "I always fail," try saying, "I've failed before, but I've also succeeded before." One setback doesn't define my future. Can you hear the difference? The second statements aren't fake. They're balanced. They're honest. And they're empowering. Here's an exercise I want you to start today. For the next week, pay attention to every negative thought that enters your mind. Don't judge yourself. Just notice it. Then ask yourself 3 simple questions. Firstly, is this thought actually true? Secondly, what evidence do I have that proves it's true? And thirdly, if my best friend said this about themselves, what would I tell them? Those 3 questions can completely change the way you think. Because many of our fears don't come from facts. They come from assumptions. Maybe you've convinced yourself that people don't like you. But have they actually said that? Maybe you've convinced yourself you'll fail. But have you even tried yet? Maybe you've decided you're not talented enough. Compared to whom? It's amazing how often we treat our fears like facts. Here's something else to remember. Your mistakes are events. They are not your identity. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure. Being rejected doesn't make you unworthy. Making a mistake doesn't make you foolish. Those are experiences, not definitions. Think about a baby learning to speak. Nobody laughs because the baby mispronounces a word. Nobody says, "Well, I guess speaking just isn't for you." Because everyone understands that growth takes practice. So why do we expect perfection from ourselves? Why do we believe that one mistake means we should quit? Growth has always been messy, and that's okay. Now, let me share a habit that many confident people practice. Every morning, before they begin their day, they remind themselves of who they want to become. Not who they used to be. Not what people said about them. But who they're choosing to become. Try saying these words out loud each morning. I am capable. I am learning. I am growing. I don't need to be perfect to make progress. I can handle challenges. My confidence grows every day. I refuse to let fear make my decisions. At first, it may feel awkward. That's normal. Any new habit feels strange in the beginning. But remember, you have spent years listening to your inner critic. It may take time for your inner coach to become louder. Keep speaking life into yourself anyway. One day, you'll notice something remarkable. The voice that once filled your mind with doubt will become quieter, and a new voice will begin to take its place. A voice that says, "You've handled difficult things before. You can learn this. Take one more step. Keep going. You are stronger than you think." That is the voice of confidence. Not because it promises an easy life, but because it reminds you that whatever comes your way, you are capable of facing it. Always remember this. The conversation happening inside your mind eventually becomes the life you live outside of it. Choose your words carefully, because you're listening. Now that we've changed the way we speak to ourselves, let's talk about something that many people forget. The proof that they are already stronger than they think. Your own past victories. Point 3. Remember your past victories. You've already overcome more than you realize. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stopped to appreciate how far you've come? Not how far you still have to go. Not the goals you haven't reached yet. Not the dreams you're still chasing. But how far you've already traveled. Most people are so focused on the next mountain that they forget to look back at the mountains they've already climbed. And that's one of the biggest reasons confidence fades. We remember our failures in vivid detail, but we quickly forget our victories. Think about your own life. There was a time when you didn't know how to ride a bicycle. There was a time when reading was difficult. There was a time when speaking in front of people terrified you. There was a time when you faced a challenge you thought you would never survive. Yet here you are. You made it through. Maybe it wasn't easy. Maybe it took longer than you expected. Maybe there were moments when you wanted to give up. But you didn't. You kept going. And that's worth remembering. Sometimes confidence isn't built by discovering something new. Sometimes it's built by remembering what you've already proven. I want you to pause for a moment. Think of 3 moments in your life when you overcame something difficult. Maybe you passed an important exam after months of studying. Maybe you landed your first job. Maybe you started a business. Maybe you learned a new skill. Maybe you recovered after losing something precious. Maybe you helped your family through a difficult season. Maybe you simply got out of bed during a time when life felt incredibly heavy. Never underestimate victories that nobody applauded. Some of the greatest battles are fought in silence. And some of the strongest people are those who kept moving forward even when no one noticed. Here's something that happens to many successful people. They achieve one goal, celebrate it for a few minutes, and immediately begin worrying about the next one. As a result, they never truly feel successful. They are always chasing, always comparing, always believing they're behind. Don't fall into that trap. Progress deserves to be recognized. Not because celebrating makes you arrogant, but because gratitude reminds you that growth is actually happening. Imagine driving a car while staring only through the windshield. You'd know where you're going. But if you never glanced in the rearview mirror, you might forget how far you've traveled. Life works the same way. Looking back isn't about living in the past. It's about gathering evidence for the future. Every challenge you've overcome becomes proof that you can overcome another one. Every obstacle you've survived becomes a reminder that you're stronger than you thought. This is why I encourage people to keep what I call a victory journal. It doesn't have to be fancy. A notebook is enough. Or even the Notes app on your phone. Every evening, write down 3 wins from your day. They don't have to be extraordinary. Maybe you finished a task you'd been avoiding. Maybe you exercised for 20 minutes. Maybe you had the courage to ask a question. Maybe you apologized to someone. Maybe you prayed when you felt discouraged. Maybe you chose discipline instead of comfort. Those are victories. And they count. Over time, you'll build a collection of evidence that says, I keep showing up. I keep growing. I keep moving forward. On the days when doubt tries to convince you that you're incapable, open that list. Read it slowly. Remind yourself that your life is filled with examples of resilience. There's another lesson hidden in your past victories. Every challenge you've faced has taught you something. Perhaps it taught you patience. Perhaps it taught you discipline. Perhaps it taught you humility. Perhaps it taught you courage. Sometimes the greatest reward isn't reaching the finish line. It's becoming the kind of person who can reach it. That person is already being shaped inside you. So don't dismiss your journey. Don't speak lightly about what you've survived. Don't ignore the strength you've gained along the way. The person you are today knows things the younger version of you could only dream of knowing. You've grown. You've learned. You've matured. And you're still growing. Never let one bad day erase years of progress. Never let one mistake convince you that you've lost all your potential. One chapter does not define the entire book. One rainy day does not cancel the summer. One setback does not erase your future. Lift your head. Remember your victories. Remember your growth. Remember your resilience. And most importantly, remember that if you've overcome challenges before, you can overcome the ones standing in front of you today. Because confidence isn't built by pretending you've never struggled. It's built by remembering that you've struggled and you're still standing. Now that you've reminded yourself of what you're capable of, it's time for the next step. Because confidence doesn't grow while we're standing still. It grows the moment we decide to take action. Point 4. Take action before you feel ready. Action creates confidence. Now we've arrived at one of the biggest secrets confident people understand. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes because of action. Read that again in your mind. Most people have it backwards. They believe, once I feel confident, then I'll start. They say, when I feel more confident, I'll apply for that job. When I feel more confident, I'll start that business. When I feel more confident, I'll ask that question. When I feel more confident, I'll speak in front of people. When I feel more confident, I'll chase my dream. But here's the problem. That day rarely comes. Do you know why? Because confidence is not a requirement for action. Action is the requirement for confidence. Think back to the first time you drove a car. Were you confident? Probably not. You were checking the mirrors every few seconds. You were thinking about the pedals. You were nervous about making mistakes. You probably drove more slowly than everyone else. But what happened after weeks of practice? Driving became natural. Today, you can probably hold a conversation while driving because your confidence grew through repetition. The same is true in every area of life. Nobody starts as an expert. Every confident speaker was once afraid to speak. Every successful entrepreneur once made their first sale. Every athlete once played their first game. Every author once wrote their first sentence. Every leader once wondered if they were good enough. The difference is not that they had no fear. The difference is that they refused to let fear become their boss. Fear will always give you reasons to wait. It will say, what if people laugh at you? What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if someone else is better? But let me ask you a different question. What if it works? What if this opportunity changes your life? What if you're far more capable than you've given yourself credit for? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is one courageous decision? You will never know if you don't take that first step. There's an old saying, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Think about how true that is. Every opportunity you avoid guarantees one outcome. Nothing changes. The safest place in the world may feel comfortable today, but it's also the place where dreams slowly fade away. Growth has never lived inside the comfort zone. Growth begins the moment you become willing to feel uncomfortable. And here's the beautiful part. Every small act of courage makes the next one a little easier. Imagine confidence as a muscle. Nobody walks into a gym for the first time and expects to lift the heaviest weights. They begin with what they can manage. Then, little by little, they become stronger. Confidence works exactly the same way. You don't build it through one giant leap. You build it through many small steps. Maybe your first step is introducing yourself to someone new. Maybe it's asking one question during a meeting. Maybe it's recording your first video. Maybe it's posting your first piece of content online. Maybe it's making the phone call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's finally beginning the project you've been talking about for years. Don't underestimate small beginnings. Small beginnings often lead to extraordinary endings. Look at a mighty tree. It started as a tiny seed. Look at a great river. It began as a small stream. Every masterpiece was once a blank page. Every successful business was once just an idea. Every confident person was once uncertain. Your beginning doesn't have to be impressive. It simply has to begin. Here's a challenge I want you to accept. Within 24 hours of watching this video, do one thing that you've been avoiding because of fear. Just one thing. Not 10. Not 20. Make the call. Send the email. Apply for the position. Start the workout. Sign up for the course. Record the video. Write the first page. Take the first step. Because once you move, something incredible happens. You stop asking yourself, can I do this? And you begin saying, I'm doing this. That's a completely different mindset. Remember this. Action creates evidence. Every time you take action, you're giving yourself proof that you're capable. That proof becomes confidence. That confidence inspires more action. And that action creates even greater confidence. It's a cycle, a powerful cycle. One that can completely change your life if you're willing to begin. Will you make mistakes? Absolutely. Will everything go according to plan? Probably not. Will there be moments when you feel discouraged? Of course. But every mistake will teach you something. Every setback will make you wiser. Every challenge will make you stronger. The people who eventually succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to quit. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting until every fear disappears. There will never be a perfect moment. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Take the first step. Then take another. And another. One day, you'll look back and realize that the confidence you were searching for was waiting for you on the other side of action. Now there's one final habit that can either build your confidence or destroy it. It's something almost every one of us struggles with. Comparison. Let's talk about why comparing yourself to others is one of the fastest ways to lose confidence, and how you can finally break free from it. Point 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. Run your own race. Now we've come to the final lesson. And for many people, this may be the most important one of all. If you want to become more confident, you must stop comparing your life to everyone else's. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to steal your confidence. It robs you of your joy. It blinds you to your progress. And it convinces you that no matter what you achieve, it will never be enough. Have you ever opened social media for just a few minutes and somehow ended up feeling worse about yourself? You see someone buying a new house. Someone else is driving a luxury car. Another person just got married. Someone is traveling around the world. Another person launched a successful business. Someone else is showing off a perfect body after months of working out. Without even realizing it, a thought slips into your mind. Why am I so far behind? But here's what you need to remember. Social media is a highlight reel. Most people don't post the sleepless nights. They don't post the failures. They don't post the rejected applications. They don't post the arguments, the disappointments, the anxiety, or the moments when they question themselves. They post the victory, not always the battle. Imagine watching only the final 5 minutes of a football match. You see one team celebrating. What you don't see is the months of training, the injuries, the sacrifices, the losses, the discipline that made that victory possible. Life works the same way. You're comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. And that's not a fair comparison. Here's another truth. Everyone is on a different timeline. Some people find success early. Others find it later. Some people discover their purpose in their 20s. Others discover it in their 40s, 50s, or even later. Your journey is not behind. It's simply your journey. Think about nature. A bamboo tree grows differently from an oak tree. A sunflower blooms at a different time than a rose. The sun rises in the morning. The moon shines at night. Neither is wrong. Neither is late. Each one fulfills its purpose in its own time. Why should your life be any different? One of the greatest mistakes you can make is measuring your chapter 2 against someone else's chapter 20. You don't know how long they've been working. You don't know what they've sacrificed. You don't know how many times they failed before they succeeded. So be careful about making comparisons when you don't know the full story. Instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" ask yourself, "Am I growing? Am I learning? Am I becoming a better person than I was yesterday?" Those are the questions that build confidence. Here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, stop comparing yourself to other people. Instead, compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. Did you learn something new? Did you become a little more disciplined? Did you take one courageous step? Did you keep a promise to yourself? If the answer is yes, you're winning. Progress is progress, no matter how small it seems. And never forget this. Someone else's success does not mean there's less success available for you. Life isn't a pie with only a few slices. Another person's victory is not your defeat. Celebrate people when they succeed. Learn from them. Be inspired by them. But don't become discouraged because of them. One person's story does not cancel yours. Your assignment is different. Your gifts are different. Your experiences are different. Your purpose is different. There is something you can do that nobody else can do in exactly the same way. That's your strength. So stop trying to become someone else. Become the best version of yourself. Because the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the original version of you. Imagine if a musician spent their whole life wishing they were a painter. Or if a doctor spent their whole life wishing they were an engineer. Or if an athlete spent every day wishing they were an actor. They would never discover the greatness that already existed within them. The same is true for you. Your greatest competition isn't your neighbor. It isn't your coworker. It isn't your friend from school. It isn't the person you follow online. Your greatest competition is the person you were yesterday. Wake up every morning with one goal: to grow, to improve, to become wiser, to become kinder, to become stronger. One step at a time, brick by brick, day by day. Because confidence isn't built by proving you're better than everyone else. It's built by proving to yourself that you're becoming the person you were created to be. And when you stop chasing other people's lives, you finally have the freedom to build your own. Conclusion: the most confident version of you is waiting. As we come to the end of this video, I want you to pause for just a moment. Take a deep breath. And think about the person you want to become. Not the person people expect you to be. Not the person your fears tell you that you are. But the person you know deep down you have the potential to become. That person already exists inside you. They may be hidden beneath fear. They may be buried under years of self-doubt. They may have been silenced by criticism, rejection, disappointment, or failure. But they are still there. And every decision you make from this moment forward will either bring that person to life or keep them hidden. Today, you've learned that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. You build it by standing a little taller. You build it by changing the way you speak to yourself. You build it by remembering the battles you've already won. You build it by taking action, even when your hands are shaking. And you build it by refusing to compare your journey with anyone else's. None of these habits will change your life overnight. But practiced consistently, they will change the direction of your life. Remember this. A ship doesn't change its destination because of one giant turn. It changes course 1 degree at a time. Your life works the same way. Small decisions, repeated every day, lead to extraordinary results. So don't leave this video inspired and then do nothing. Inspiration is powerful, but inspiration without action fades quickly. Before you close this video, make a decision. One decision. Choose one thing you've been putting off because of fear. Maybe it's making that phone call. Maybe it's applying for that job. Maybe it's starting your business. Maybe it's joining the gym. Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's creating your first YouTube video. Whatever it is, promise yourself that you'll take the first step today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because your future isn't built by what you plan to do. It's built by what you actually do. And here's something I hope you'll never forget. There will always be people who doubt you. There will always be critics. There will always be obstacles. There will always be setbacks. Don't let those things surprise you. They are part of every meaningful journey. But don't become your own biggest obstacle. Don't become the voice that talks yourself out of your dreams. Become the voice that says, I'll try one more time. I'll learn from this. I'll keep growing. I won't quit. Because every great achievement in history began with someone who decided not to give up. Maybe they weren't the smartest person in the room. Maybe they weren't the most talented. Maybe they weren't the most experienced. But they were willing to begin. And that's what made the difference. So, as you leave this video, I want you to walk a little taller. Speak a little kinder to yourself. Smile a little more. Take that first courageous step. And remember that confidence isn't about believing you'll never fall. Confidence is believing that even if you fall, you'll get back up. Again and again and again, until you become the person you were always capable of becoming. Now, if this video encouraged you, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and answer this question. What's one action you're going to take today to build your confidence? I'd love to read your answers, and who knows? Your comment might encourage someone else who needs a little courage today. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another video designed to help you grow, lead, and become the very best version of yourself. And if you know someone who struggles with self-confidence, share this video with them. Sometimes one message, one conversation, or one decision can change a person's life forever. Thank you so much for spending these moments with me. Until next time, keep believing, keep growing, keep moving forward, and never forget this. The life you've been praying for begins with the person you're willing to become today. God bless you. Subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.